Due to some Wi-Fi issues, I'll be joining just through Junwon's computer. Thank you everyone for joining the third session of Veterans Week. Today we're joined by Mr. James McCormick, and I will let Junwon, who will be leading this interview, take over. Junwon.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick, for being here for us today. For everyone else, Mr. McCormick has served for the military and now works as part of the Purple Heart War Veterans Organization. And instead of me trying to further introduce him, I feel like it's better for him to introduce himself. So, Mr. McCormick, can you please briefly introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is James McCormick. I am the National Commander of the Military Order of the Purple Heart. We're an organization made up of combat wounded veterans of America, and I'm a retired U.S. Army officer. I did 22 years in the Army, and I was wounded actually in Iraq 3 different times. So that's why I'm here.
Can you please describe your background involving the military?
Yeah, absolutely. So I enlisted in the United States Army as a private, and I was in the cavalry. I was a cavalry scout. That job was go out and do reconnaissance missions and really a lot of fun. Then I transferred. I went to the infantry, which was the 2nd of the 18th Infantry, and it's a drill sergeant for 3 years, and then I did 3 years recruiting. And after 9/11, I became an officer. So I had been in the Army for 16 years, and received a direct commission as an armor officer and took over a tank platoon, and ended up going over to Iraq in 2004. And I was there until I got there 2 days after Christmas 2003, and I came home in April of 2005. So I was there for quite a long time, and then came back and went back on recruiting duty, and eventually retired in 2009.
So while you were in the military, did you notice any influence of the Korean War on the military today?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up, because everything that we do was influenced by the Korean War. So let me just kind of explain this to you. This was coming right off the heels of World War II when Korea broke out. And I had an uncle. Now, I never knew him. Obviously, I was too young to know him, but I had an uncle that was killed in the Korean War in 1953, in June of 1953. And so it's very close and personal to me. But as far as the Army goes and the way we operate, we learned a lot of lessons, especially after the 1950 incursion, which, saw a massive attack, into South Korea. And the Americans had to regroup. Different things that were going on. There were some uniform issues. There was some issues dealing with the cold weather climate, even though we had fought in the European theater. I don't think anybody was truly ready for a war. So what it did is it forced us to reach out and grab those experienced soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines from the Second World War. So a lot of World War II veterans that fought World War II ended up also fighting in the Korean War. And my uncle that was killed was one of those. Some of the other lessons that we learned a lot about supply and logistics, and the ability to do a hasty retreat, and also how to reconsolidate forces, which was, actually allowed us to move ourselves back into a position to actually push, the North Koreans and eventually the Chinese, whenever the Chinese came into the war, to push them all the way back deep into North Korea. And that's actually where my uncle was killed at. He was actually in North Korea, what is designated as North Korea today. So yes, we learned a lot. We learned a lot about weapons, how they operated in the cold climate and also the heat, because you have a climate that's much like the climate where I live at in West Virginia. You have very distinct seasons. You have, some hot summers and you have some pretty cold winters, and we have the same thing here. And a lot of soldiers came from this Appalachian area, that held that same type of environment. So yes, we learned a lot from that war, and we also learned a lot about negotiations and the ability to cease hostilities, without total victory. So, and obviously you all are very aware of that.
And so on a personal level, can you tell us what the Korean War veterans mean to you, as someone that's been part of the military?
So, the Korean War veterans now, especially those that actually fought from 1950 to 53, they're all, getting old. So they're mainly our most senior members. Most of the World War II veterans have already passed away. So we hold deep respect for them. We also hold deep respect for the people of Korea. And I'll just tell you that. There is obviously, I do, because I'm on here right now, speaking to a classroom in Korea, because I care about, how you feel about us, and want to let you know how we feel about you. We're willing to, to go do whatever we have to do, to ensure that you have a level of freedom and security. And when I look at the Korean War veterans, I feel a tremendous amount of respect for them and admiration, because of it was a hard war. It was not an easy war. And as someone that, had a family member that was killed in Korea, for me, I didn't know him, but I did know my great grandmother, which was his mother. And she, until she died in 1975, when she died, she grieved for the loss of her son, and he was the youngest of 7 boys. So on a personal level, when I see Korean War veterans, I think about my uncle. I think about, his daughter that grew up and never knew him, because she was born after he had left for Korea. And I think about my great grandmother, who would sit in a rocking chair and look at a picture of her son on the wall, and still referred to him as her baby. And that's the reality of it. I guess, they're all somebody's son. They're all somebody's daughter. And now I have 2 sons that serve in the military. And so I'm very painfully aware of what that sacrifice means, all the way around. But when I think about the Korean War veterans, I think about, the fact that they stepped up at a time, a very difficult time, and left the comforts of their home to go to travel to Korea, to ensure the people of South Korea, we're not, totally overrun, and we're not, robbed of an opportunity at freedom.
So in the intro part, you introduce yourself as part of the Military Order of the Purple Heart, and in fact, you're the National Commander. So can you tell us what exactly the Military Order of the Purple Heart is and what they do?
Absolutely. So the Military Order of the Purple Heart is an organization made up of, combat wounded Purple Heart recipients. Now, the Purple Heart medal is the only medal that we have that is awarded for combat injury. So anybody that receives one of these had to have been wounded, by an instrumentality of war, a blast, a gunshot. In my case, I was gunshot 3 different times. And the organization is set up to ensure that not only the veterans, but the families of these veterans that earn the Purple Heart, that are both living and deceased, receive the proper benefits that they're entitled to. But we also like to teach America about the history and teach, here we are I'm in, essentially in South Korea right now, having an opportunity to talk to each and every one of you. And it's a tremendous opportunity to tell you about what the Purple Heart Medal means and what sacrifice truly means. And it's written on the faces of thousands and thousands of veterans, and maybe some of you, I'm sure all of you have family members that served in the military, whether it be the South Korean military or whether it be the U.S. military. And so you understand that from your perspective as a family member. And some of you will go on to serve once you graduate high school. And, there's no more honorable profession than to defend your country and to serve in the armed forces. Being wounded is not something that we go and we look for. It's something that just happens. I would have never thought that I would have been shot the days that I had been shot. That it wasn't planned that way. It was, it happened so quick. I didn't realize that I had been shot until I started to see the blood. And at that point in time, you are so deep into it that your adrenaline's flowing, that you really don't have a lot of time to think or do anything except for react, because you want to live. You really do. And I think that that's important. An important thing for me to say as well is that we are intrepid survivors, and someone who operates honorably with courage, in battle, and we've survived some very hard things, and we like to reach out to people and tell people that life is such a beautiful thing to experience. I'm just telling y'all this right now. There's no way that I was going to let myself die on the battlefields of Iraq and not fight my very hardest or try my very best to get back home. And all I could think about when I was at that point, when I realized that, I literally was dying, how much I really wanted to live. And because everything changed after that experience for me. The trees look better, sang clearer. These are experiences that only a Purple Heart recipient or only a survivor or only someone who's absolutely come to the point in their life where they've nearly died, or they've been in a position where they've had to think about it, that they realize just how wonderful that life is. And so for me, when I look on this class and I see all of these bright, wonderful faces on here, I'm telling you, you all are absolutely just wonderful. And I'm just seeing this is such a wonderful thing, because so many people like my uncle, who gave his life on the battlefields of Korea, you're here because of that sacrifice. And, I wish that my great grandmother was here to see all of you and to realize, that what her son gave was so much more than just, his name being put on a wall. But what he gave an opportunity for each and every one of you. And thousands of people have done that. And for us in the Military Order of the Purple Heart, and me personally, I want to tell you, don't waste that opportunity. You go out and you be whatever it is you want to be. You enjoy the freedom that you have. You want to be a doctor, be a doctor. You want to be an engineer, be an engineer. You want to be a soldier, be a soldier. You want to be a pilot, an astronaut, whatever it is that you want to do. Don't stop until you achieve your goals, because someone died to give you that opportunity. Please don't waste it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get on the tangent, but I'm just thrilled to have this opportunity to be able to speak with you, to be able to look into your eyes. And as I'm flipping through here, I'm looking at everybody's face, and I'm wanting to tell you how important you are to us, how important it is to see you in this opportunity to be educated and to have freedom to talk to me. It's such a wonderful thing, and I wish that we didn't have 1,000 miles in COVID between us. I would love to walk up and shake each and every one of your hands and just tell you, again, just how special that this freedom is and how good it is to see you here after knowing how many people gave their lives, in the Korean War. It's a wonderful thing. So I won't get too wrapped up in the emotions of it, but I'm very thankful to be here with you.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate, we're also really thankful for you to be able to come here and talk to us. And adding on, as part of the Military Order of the Purple Heart, what relationships do you have with Korean War veterans?
Yeah, so we have a lot of Korean War veterans that are still alive, that are in our organization, that we work with. Most of them are in great need of like nursing home type care because they're all in their 80s right now. And I think for me, the best thing that we can do is ensure that whatever time that they have left, that we make them as comfortable, we make sure that they're taken care of. But look, we've done lots of things. We've went to people's houses to fix a leaky roof before. These are things. These are just things that we do that nobody actually thinks about. And so anyways, yeah, there's just so many things that we do. It would be hard to put my finger on just one thing. But I see some questions on here, and Hannah, thank you very much for that comment. And it says, what are some of the ways that you love to see people show their appreciation for those who have served? And the answer to that is exactly what you're doing right now. You're enjoying freedom. I don't need somebody to come up and say, I really appreciate when people say thank you for your service. I do. Don't get me wrong. But what really makes me feel good is to look in here and see all of you, hey, look, I went to school and it's a drag sometimes. I get it. It's like, but school is freedom, and you are learning and you are doing things. And for me, just to see you experiencing freedom, enjoying life, playing, some of you probably like music and dancing and sports and everything else. And when you are fully engaging that, to me, that's the best way you can say thank you to me. And when you can go, then, to me, that's what's important. That's what's really important to me. Okay, can y'all hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah. I think I lost you there for a second.
So for our next question, we want to ask if the military or the Purple Heart providing treatment for like PTSD patients, or like how society in general supports veterans who return back home with PTSD.
Yeah. Well, we do. We have what they call a buddy plan, and what we do is we call and check on each other. A lot of times, a veteran won't open up to to a doctor or something, but they'll open up to another veteran. So for me, that's probably the single best thing that we ever did, was to connect veterans with veterans. So that's part of what we do in the Military Order of the Purple Heart. And we have a Facebook page. You all are all welcome to join us on Facebook, or on Twitter, and it's under the Military Order of the Purple Heart. And again, you'll see, let me see if I can pull it up there. There we go. And just go on there and hit like and follow. And then that way you can kind of see some of the stuff that we're doing.
So in your experience,
And you can help too.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry for interrupting. But so in your opinion, like, would you say a lot of the younger generation are involved in these, like, younger generation has been involved with the Military Order of the Purple Heart, or just raising awareness in general?
Yeah, we like to see the youth get involved. We actually have a program where we give awards to kids that are taking junior ROTC programs. We also teach an Americanism class and patriotism class and history class, which has been really, really beneficial for us. And then, sometimes we have kids that, kids of Purple Heart recipients, or grandchildren of Purple Heart recipients, and they come in and they volunteer, to help us at our conventions. And sometimes it's serving food, sometimes it's setting up tables, sometimes it's handing out flyers or papers. And then sometimes it's helping, the Korean War era veterans, up and down the stairs and things like that, which are really, really important right now. We have some really cool Korean War veterans in the Military Order of the Purple Heart. We really do. We have some that are in their mid 90s right now, and they just have so much spunk. It's just unbelievable. Tommy Tanaka is one guy that comes to mind, and he actually lives by, and he's just a great guy. He really is.
So we have one final question as time is running tight. So we'd like to ask, what do you see as the biggest threat to veteran welfare at the moment?
Veteran healthcare. Is that what you said?
Welfare or healthcare?
Welfare. Yeah, welfare. Okay. So I guess the biggest threat right now would be, the reduction in benefits, or actually probably, with the VA healthcare system, there's no consistency in it. And that's probably our biggest threat right now. So essentially what we have for veterans welfare is we have a Veterans Administration that provides care, but it's not the same. So if I go, it's maybe a little bit better than in Kentucky or wherever, but it should be consistent. So there's no consistency. And then the other thing are some of these sham groups, fraudulent groups that are out there, raising money, saying that they're helping veterans, and they really don't do anything. You got to be very careful of those. That's why I tell people, if you're going to donate to a veterans cause, then donate to groups like the VFW, the Military Order of the Purple Heart, because they're congressionally chartered, and you know that your donation, 100% of your donation, is going to be used for that. There's a lot of groups out there that say Purple Heart, or that they act like, they're doing something, when in reality, they're not, except for, taking money away from the real veterans who actually need it. So I think that is probably, those two things are our biggest threats to veterans welfare right now.
So that's all of the questions we have. Once again, thank you so much for coming here to talk to us today. We'll definitely remember all the things you said, and just thank you for being here. It's a wonderful opportunity for us too.
Thank you very much. And you all go out and do great things. You know what I mean? I really want to hear back from some of you. I want to know the good things that you're doing, because I'm telling you, this is awesome to be able to be on here with all of you. Just amazing things. Maybe I'll see you on TV one of these days, or who knows? You know what I mean? Anything could happen. But hey, thank you very much for having me. It was an honor for me.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. McCormick, and thank you to everyone else who joined. If we could just get a round of applause for Mr. McCormick quickly. All right, thank you everyone for joining us for the third session of Veterans Week and the final day. Thank you, Mr. McCormick, and we hope you have taken something away from this week, and we hope you have a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Call anytime. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.